Network sucks. I know.
Oh,
I'm just gonna let it play out.
yeah, I might as well. Oh man, look, job's not finished. Let's keep it buck here. Job's not finished, but man, all that shit talking about, oh, this team's dead. This is gonna be 4 wins in a row. This, that, and the other thing.
Yeah,
I watched.
what a bold
Oh,
statement.
I watched pure domination on a shit ice, on a shit sheet of ice.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to cap. Kadri's not lying. That humidity down there, making sure that ice is so slow. Look. We'll talk about the ice here in a minute. But man, it don't matter what kind of ice conditions, don't matter what city. This team is going to run in and make your top goalie in the world look like a bum, and have the goalie that let in 6 goals the night before stand on his head and beat you out. So all that shit talking, McKinnon and McCarr, watch your back. Oh no, watch your back. Y'all couldn't keep up with them, so I wasn't even concerned.
Yeah. Before we get into the actual games, Avalanche obviously take a 3-1 series lead, have a chance to close it out on home ice Friday. Nick will be on site. He was at the watch party, so we'll get a little bit of that perspective too. You guys have seen the video on our social medias, but check it out at FEOTB Pod. You can see the video. Obviously, if you're not familiar, the Avalanche, that's why we played it at the beginning of the show. The Avalanche, when they are winning, when they won a game in overtime, or when they're winning and have a comfortable lead, they play all the small things, and then they cut it at a certain point in the crowd. And the tradition is you finish it, and then that's the way things go. So Niko has a video of him and the guys last night celebrating a big win for the boys. So yeah, be sure to follow us at FEOTB Pod. Yeah,
and expect another one. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Friday night. Expect as you're listening to this morning, I'll be in the building. Oh man, that hurt my paycheck, but I'll be in the building.
Hey, just make sure you get out of there safe, because I feel like if it does happen, it's gonna be like Baghdad. We're gonna have to go send in an extraction team to try and pull you out. I'm going to have to go in there for the second time in our lives together. I'm going to have to go in there and grab you and yank you out of some situation, because I feel like, it's good. It's what happens when your team wins, especially in the way, we'll get to it. Like I said, I'm still trying to plug the channels, but when your team wins in a way that's this dominant and this historic, that's going to be a hell of a celebration whenever it happens. And I feel like it's
really a movie. That's all I'll say.
Damn near inevitable. It's damn near inevitable at this point. I'm not going to say 100%. I'm knocking on wood right now. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Far End of the Bench. New episodes Wednesday and Friday. This could be our last week, actually, of doing the Wednesday, Friday episodes. Maybe we'll keep doing that to catch up on some of the other sports stories. But anyways, let's talk about game 4. Because we mentioned it, you heard about our therapy session following game 3, the 6-2 blowout. Darcy Kemper gets pulled. Pavel Francouz then reignites the goalie controversy conversation. And I guess we could start with that, because it was said after that game on Monday night, Jared Bednar took Darcy Kemper aside and said, listen, you are my guy. I'm not going to say that out loud. I'm not going to say that outright to the media, just because you know how this game is played, Darcy. You're a veteran. You're a veteran. You know how this game is played, and you're going to be the guy in the net, though. You're my guy. I have faith in you. The guys have faith in you. So that was, I think, where Jared Bednar, and this is a guy who's come full circle. You're listening to a guy, if you've listened to our show before,
especially the first couple episodes.
The first month of the show, I had an absolute meltdown when the Dallas Stars eliminated us from the bubble. And I called for, at that point, I was calling for Sakic and Bednar's head. And I regret both of those takes pretty hard. I don't say I regret. I put them out there. And I'm glad that they sucked. I'm glad that it was a reverse jinx. That's all all I'm gonna say. But Jared Bednar pushing the right buttons, and then you get the confirmation that Kadri is in the lineup and he's going for the night. What was the first thought that you had when you see Nazem Kadri in the lineup? Not only in the lineup, taking back his second line position. They shuffled everything up, which could have been a catastrophic decision as well. But they shuffled things up. Kadri goes back to the second line. What was your thought about that? What was your reaction?
The reports were coming out that he was a possibility for game 3. They just played a little bit on the safe side and gave him a few more touches. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like Kadri was his full self. You could tell he wasn't taking face-offs. He doesn't have a slap shot. His wrister isn't that powerful. It's powerful enough though. So like he obviously wasn't fully there. But when you are 2 games away, which we were before Game 4, 2 games away from hosting the Stanley Cup, and you have never touched the rink when it comes to the Stanley Cup final. Barely ever touched the third or never touched the second round, let alone over there in Toronto. So when you have a chance to do this, you do it. It's the old. I love bringing this movie back up because I love all the innuendos. Oh, Adam Banks thing. Kadri brought his stick in, held his stick like this, coach. I'm good. Let's go. Turning the stick, making sure he feel for those listeners out there. I just twisted my wrist sideways. You'll have to watch the video to get it. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. The bank scene where he's like, "My wrist is good to go, coach." Well, his thumb, he was like, "Yep, my thumb's good to go. I can skate. I can play. I'll be a factor." Because look, like it or not, whether he put that last goal in or not, his effect already has that effect on the team with him on the ice. He was your best player. I'll say it. Most consistent best player all throughout the regular season. First-time All-Star, one of the best players on the team outside of 8, 29, 96, and 92 for your team. So he was incredible all year for you, and he comes in the biggest moment with a chance to knock these guys on their heels and say, you know what, we're not letting you get past this point. We got this. We're going to take care of business, and you're going to be done for.
It was one of those.
My thoughts were like I knew when I saw him in the lineup. Kemper, there was no denying that he was going to be in the lineup, but Nas was the question mark. The one thing Bedsy it would have been out of character for him to pull him like that because all throughout the playoffs there's been this calm next game attitude by the whole Avalanche team. Goes down from Bedsy all the way to McKinnon and McCarr. Calm attitude. Next game, let's get this done. There's never been a freak out. Oh my God, series over. We're done for all this and that. It's always calm, cool, and collected, and that's exactly and it paid off big time for Bedsy.
Yeah, that was a great decision to put Kadri in there. And though he wasn't as dynamic offensively as we normally see him, he did have the game winner. That was a slick move. Like, for him to be able to pull that off, deking in between two of that's the top defensive, or not the top, it's the second defensive pairing for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's Ryan McDonough, who used to be the captain in New York, and it's Mikhail Sergachev, who I don't think is a great defenseman, but he's definitely above average and can make your life difficult. And Kadri dekes in between both of them, absolutely burns them. And you know, just the presence that he brings back to the game. And you do have to watch him. He put a couple shots on the net, didn't look great, but now let's start at the beginning of the game, and it didn't start well at all. It's best series of saves that Darcy Kuemper has had since I think of the entire playoffs.
Let me cut you off, Jimmy. It wasn't Darcy, or it wasn't Vasilevsky's saves. It was every other person on the Tampa Bay Lightning blocking shots. Because I didn't realize Dikembe Mutombo was in the lineup for Tampa Bay in the first period. I didn't realize that was the case. So, and you have that first goal too. That weird play. That's a goal that any goalie that's going to go in on. So I'm not barking at that one at Darcy, but first minute that happens to you, and then you're not able to get more than 5 shots on net in the first period. It was
awful. It was awful. Like, yeah, you were getting. I was listening to the guys that we had on last week, We the Thunder. Go check their show out. Check out their episode that they did with us. It's episode 94. It's not the most recent one, but last Wednesday's episode. They said it. Even though the Avalanche haven't led for, I think they've led for a majority of the series, but it hasn't been as dominant as we've seen so far throughout the playoffs. The Avalanche are owning the offensive zone time, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, even though they were getting the scoring chances and getting the puck into the Avalanche zone as well, Colorado was sustaining pressure, but shots from the blue line, and they weren't working. It was literally like, give Tampa Bay credit, because as much hockey as those guys have played and as beat up as they all are, every single one of them still full on blocking shots, and it hurt them. Come to find out at the end of the game, Eric Chernak no longer available, and he gets the assist on the Cirelli goal. But that's 2 goals. Cirelli had only one. He had gone on a 9-game drought. And now he comes in, he scores the first goal in game 3, he scores the first goal in game 4, and both of those were on kind of fluky plays. We said it on Wednesday's episode. He did not intend to try and put that through the 5-hole. He was trying to deke and go backhand and beat Kemper to the other side. It just so happened that it worked out, and I think it hit a stick or something. And then this one, I can't believe, like the NHL rulebook, somebody had to like go through that thing and just find the most arbitrary plays to officiate, because in my opinion, a goalie's mask comes off. This isn't 1930 anymore. We don't want these guys stopping pucks without a face mask on. Whistle gets blown dead. I don't care if the puck lands in the ice. You hit the goalie in the face. The helmet came off.
It looks like the stick hit him in the face. That's where I feel like you could have went back and been like, that can't happen. But
I thought that would have been goaltender interference.
I have also seen it both ways though. So if it's literally within 1 second, 2 seconds of the helmet popping off and he's got a puck in his stick, then you let it go. Like I get those scenarios. Absolutely. It's a tough case scenario, because we started that going, you're like, oh man, here we go. That's all of our attitudes. Like, oh man, that's a heartbreaker.
The first thing that I said was, geez, don't let this ruin the night, Darcy. Like, don't let this get to you, because like I said, I think that series of saves before that goal actually was scored was probably the most on point that we've seen him, especially ever since the injury to his eye. He was playing well in that Nashville series until he got injured. And then that was him standing tall in the net, and give him credit because he was peppered throughout the rest of that period, like you said, and nothing else was let in. That was the thing about Darcy Kuemper tonight. He didn't get rattled. The team wasn't rattled in front of him, even though it wasn't going well and they were having trouble figuring out what Tampa Bay was doing on defense. They went into the first intermission and they have the aura of Jared Bednar from the bench. Like, nobody's upset. They're probably frustrated, but they're frustrated in a way that they're going to try and figure something out. And they come out in the second period and you draw a penalty. It's the special teams story of this series. Avalanche are converting at a very high rate and killing off pretty much every penalty. I think they have one power play.
Tampa can't get looks on the net at all on power plays.
It is. It's beautiful. The penalty kill has been great all playoffs, and having guys like Cogliano and Helm, and just like, I know that he's not going to win the Conn Smythe, but Darren Helm is that X factor that we've been talking about on the Avalanche. Just a guy who is physical and gets in the other person's face and doesn't make it an easy trek through the neutral zone. That is what sets up the superstars of this team. And Nathan MacKinnon, even though it was kind of fluky, and yes, you can call it puck luck and all of those things, a goal is a goal is a goal is a goal. It ended up in the back of the net. And
doesn't matter how. Did the puck go in? Oh, it did. That doesn't matter.
By the way, Mikko Rantanen, that was his 20th assist of the playoffs. Cale Makar as well.
He's the second leading point scorer for the team. We talked about the first series. Mikko this, Mikko that, Mikko this, Mikko that. Well, Mikko has been the guy and literally setting up everyone and making sure everyone else gets their touches. He's not putting them back in the net, but he's getting everyone open spaces and finding people in the right spots. He's been incredible this postseason.
Yeah, he's added, like, he's I would say that he's definitely less focused on trying to set himself up to score. He's setting up his teammates, but also the defensive presence that he's played with at the front of the offensive or the defensive zone when the guys are trying to cycle the puck. He caused the turnover and got the empty netter against Edmonton. He was making life miserable for them with the extra attacker on the ice. So he's kind of stepped up his game, as with Nathan MacKinnon, because usually we'd see Nathan MacKinnon with about 15 or 16 goals, especially like last season. If we would have gone this far, I think you and I both agree, he probably would have been around the 20 goal mark if they would have played this many games in the playoffs. Now I said that he needed to shoot to score a little bit more and not shoot for tips all the time, because that's what he's doing. But he's getting himself involved in the entire game, and that's what the difference we're seeing is. The Tampa Bay Lightning have never played against a team that is willing to let their superstars not eat, and they've never had a third and fourth line that's pushed them as they're being pushed around.
Like I said, we're not Dallas, we're not Montreal, we're not New York. We're have guys.
Boston.
We're not Boston. We're not Toronto. We are nothing you've faced all postseason. The past 3 postseasons,
the only comparable team you can say, and the only comparable difficulty of a series, and it's not even close to the same level, was the Islanders. The Islanders so far the last 2 seasons, the only team to push Tampa Bay to 7 games, but they still they have not been down in a series on this 2-year run. They have led in every series, led or tied in every series. That's what we've been saying. You don't beat the Lightning 2 times in a row, and this is the playoffs where the wheels have kind of. They're starting to come off.
Yeah, to not burn your to mark your burn. They were down 2-0 last series, but they're not down like they're not down.
No, I mean the two runs that they won on. They weren't down those 2 years.
They weren't down. This year's obviously a little bit different with Toronto series and then the last series with New York. But no, this team. It's a multitude of a couple things. One, Vasilevsky. That's the best game Vasilevsky has had all playoffs long. Not even playoffs long, but this series long. And you lose that game, like you lose that game, and your 2 goals is a freak play in front of the net, and the second one, which was a completely blunder on Darcy. He's covering too much of the post and not enough the backside that he'll definitely want back. But in the end, it didn't matter. So if you're Tampa Bay, you have to come in. Look, I don't remember the last time this team has lost 3 games in a row. I'll say I am knocking on wood. I don't remember the last time this team has lost 3 games in a row. You may beat us game 5 if you get lucky. You may even get game 6. But if you beat us 3 times in a row, then I'll know you've earned it. We didn't deserve it. I'll say that right now. So that's how confident I am in this team and what we've shown from this team. Because you look, I know we're skipping around here, but if you look at what the dominance in the end of the third period in overtime, Darcy was seeing clean shots on net and making the right plays, and then the ice was completely tilted one direction.
Tilted and slushed over. They were swimming at the end of the third period,
The slush. I mean, look. Pat McAfee said it best. The Bears, when they had grass, they didn't cut it fully because the slow team.
Exactly. That's the point I was just about to bring up. That's why we're podcast partners.
You do it because it's in your advantage. It's a reason why it's home ice advantage.
Well, is it your advantage though? Because you have to skate just as much through the muck as they do, and they're just faster than you. Period. Like,
when you got ran like 7-0 in game 2, you make sure that shit as slushy as possible to try and slow these guys down. So anything to help does, and that's shit ice. Luckily, we ain't going back there. Knock on wood, we ain't going back there having to deal with that.
Yeah, no, that's a situation that's not ideal. I do want to talk about the goaltending because this is what Stanley Cup Championship goaltending looks like. So the Darcy Kuemper save percentage was a 949 last night. I've been listening to the Tell It As It Is podcast. So they were saying if he's a 900. This team is going to comfortably be able to see themselves winning the Stanley Cup. And a 949, that's elite goaltending no matter who you are. So that was the best game Darcy Kuemper played all throughout the playoffs. And even though Andrei Vasilevsky still is the best goaltender in the world, Darcy Kuemper outplayed him in game 4. There's no doubt about it. Vasilevsky, 919 save percentage. So still stellar. Like we said, stellar. And we've never had to play him this much. So I've seen how frustrated he made other teams, but when it's your guys and when it's this Avalanche team who just it's scoring chance after scoring chance. When they're in the offensive zone or at least past the red line, maybe sometimes even behind their own blue line, they are a liability to score like Steph Curry. The range is when they step in the building.
The amount of pipes we saw too. It wasn't necessarily him blocking every shot. It was the Avs run circles, as we like to call barbecue chicken alert, with those defenders eating their chops, looking at them, trying to catch up with you, and they're just hitting pipes, being like, "Oh fuck!" You saw. I don't know if everyone saw that, but Joe Sakic off that Bo Byram pipe when that came across the ice when he like, oh. Fuck. Like that's literally the amount of times that happened because of the pipes. It was one-sided completely. Vasilevsky was having to see the puck. Look, there's goalies that can sustain looking at the puck for more than 40 minutes of time. You look at the time of possession in the opponent's zone. Avalanche were dominating that throughout the game. Yeah. Throughout the game, we weren't getting shots on net in the first period, but because every single shot was blocked. That's the only difference with that first period was. Everyone's like, oh, Tampa Bay's dominating this game because they're looking at the shots. They're not watching the game. The stats were not lying. Look at the time of possession. Look at where the offensive zone, what was happening. All the big question mark that was for the Avalanche in that game 4 was, will there be a 5-on-5 goal? And they responded with 2 of them.
Yeah.
Responded with 2 of them. Because look, all the reports after the second period were the Lightning haven't let up a 5-on-5 goal in eight games or at home and blah, this, that, and the other thing. The Avs came out and punked them. Absolutely punked them.
It was, once we got to, we were told to watch out for the moment when Tampa Bay was going to break the will of the Colorado Avalanche. And I think we
will be broken.
We saw the will get broken. And Vasilevsky didn't argue that goal was a goal. Nobody was arguing on the Tampa Bay bench that goal was a goal. Did you see Stamkos, his little rat ass going? Yeah, I mean, I get what you're doing. I get what you're doing, but come on. Like, it's on camera. You're being recorded. Don't be a dumb criminal. If you're going to be a criminal, be good.
The first 2 guys that you could tell knew the puck was in the back of the net was Bo Byram. Bo Byram right away came to the net and said, look at this, it's right here. Mm-hmm. And then Vasilevsky knew right away. Goalies know when the puck is beaten past them. He was sitting on the ground looking around, didn't know where the puck was, and he was like, this puck's probably in the net somewhere. He knew it was. There was no question. Everyone skated right off right away. And then you have the bullshit after the game where people are just scratching and clawing for stupid shit. Well, and look, Jimmy, when you've beaten a team is when you got to scratch and claw for shit like that. When you've beaten the will of a team where the coach says, oh, I got to talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm so heartbroken. As far as I'm concerned, the series ain't done yet. If you're really that heartbroken after a game through 4 loss and the series ain't over yet, you're already done. You're already done as a man. You're mentally weak and you're done. This game 5 will be a fucking rollover because if you're already thinking, oh, fuck, I feel so bad for these guys. So bad for these guys, man. They deserve better. You'll see what I mean. One day later, completely fucking obliterates his comments saying, oh, we also had that thing happen.
I was just emotional. Yeah,
it's okay. Just emotional. That you stuck a knife to your own chest. It was already there. You dug it deeper, saying you've given up almost. And look, that lead that I don't speak of except a few times when it actually comes out, that lead around here is known for some bad things and very good things. That lead is known around this city more times than we would like. So, and if there's one city that knows how to either beat it or get around it, it's Denver. And if you think your mental state right now is at the point where you're like, oh, I feel so bad for these guys. Game over. You're already beaten game 5. You're already beaten game 5.
What Nico's referring to is the comments made by Jon Cooper following last night's game. Kind of put a damper on, well, I mean, not for us because it didn't matter, but
I had some nice laughs.
Some of the national media kind of put a damper on their broadcast, and I'm glad that they put out Connor McGahee's call because Sean McDonough's call of that overtime winner was no good. Before we move on, we're gonna play the full Jon Cooper interview via Sportsnet, their YouTube channel. But before we get to that, I do want to mention that goal to tie the game in the third period and get us to overtime. I don't know about you, but I was sitting there. I know you were in the arena, and I was sitting there on the couch, and I was thinking, honestly, don't even try to. I didn't want them to try and win in regulation. Obviously, I did, but if you get to, as long as you get to overtime against these guys, Tampa Bay has been bad in overtime this entire season. This entire season, we beat them in overtime in a shootout in the first game. They just don't have it left. And that's what I saw a lot when the guys were skating off. You saw Pat Maroon leaning up against the boards. I mean, that big fat bastard, obviously he's tired. He's played a lot of hockey, but it's not. Yeah, that goal was the epitome. Like, it's 2 guys that were picked up at the trade deadline, Nico Sturm, Andrew Cogliano, both guys that you have returned from hand surgery, score goals, and one happened to be the overtime winner. And by the way, let's just think about this timeline here. Nazem Kadri breaks his thumb on May 1st or May 31st. And he is now back on June 22nd was the game that took place. And he's out there and making an impact in his first Stanley Cup final and producing the game-winning goal on a beautiful play that burned two of the better defensemen in the NHL that played for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we'll get more thoughts on Nico's trip to Ball Arena for the watch party after you guys listen to Jon Cooper's comments, and we'll also break down the full impact because there's a lot of ways that these comments can affect Game 5 and get into a Game 5 prediction here coming up after Jon Cooper's comments. So let's get into those.
I don't know. I thought we had a really strong first. We had the lead. You know, I love this league. It's the greatest league in the world. The people that run it are amazing. Everything about it, it's like a dream come true for me, especially being a Canadian kid growing up and everything that's gone on. And a lot of times when you're, I've been part of some heartbreaking losses and defeats to teams that took us out, and been with a group that just fights and fights and fights, and they fought their way to a third Stanley Cup final in a row. And in a cap era, when it's so damn hard and the rules are put against you, because the league wants parity. And I love that about the league. And that's what makes it tougher. And just watch this team and what they've gone through and the battling that's gone on, and we're all in this together. Players, coaches, refs, everybody. But it just this one's going to sting much more than others, just because I think it was taken on. It was potential. I don't know. It's hard for me. This is going to be hard for me to speak. I'm going to have to speak. I'll speak with you tomorrow. You're going to see what I mean when you see the winning goal. And my heart breaks for the players, because we probably still should be playing. I'll be available tomorrow.
So hopefully, if you hadn't heard that before, you got a little bit of a grasp of it. Go back, listen to it again. You can find it. It's everywhere. It went pretty viral just because it went viral for the reason that it was a whiny thing to do, especially for a team who won 2 Stanley Cups, well, $20 million over the salary cap in a hard cap league. And the question that he was asked that had no relevance to the answer that was given. And he went on like it was a soliloquy. Like Shakespeare would have been trying to pick that up and be able to reproduce that in a play. It was very dramatic. He even had the fake tears going. It was a great performance from Jon Cooper. But we're starting with Jared Bednar's quote, asked about Jon Cooper's statement. And he said, he did see it. I thought it was nothing, honestly. I thought that happens every second shift in the entire game. That's part of the game. It's a fluid game. You're changing on the fly. Everything happens. You look at that clip, you back that clip up, and I did multiple times already to see what they were talking about. And Tampa's got 2 guys jumping on with their D coming off the ice from a zone away. I count 7-6 at one point. So that is what it is. That's the way the game is played. I don't see it as a break or non-break. I actually see it as nothing. If you are listening to an NHL player talk about this situation, because PK Subban was on Get Up this morning for ESPN, he was talking about the situation, because the national media, the NHL, everybody besides us sitting here on this podcast, listening to this podcast, unless you're from We the Thunder, and like I said, we thank you. You're not going to enjoy what we have to say, but we thank you for sticking around and listening to more of these episodes. It's not like it wasn't that big of a deal. It really wasn't. And everybody said, if you really want to, if we're going to make these calls, the game's going to be 6 hours long. Nobody's going to ever score, because the rule was written. The players are so fast now that if you really want to wait for everybody to get off before the next guy can go on, you're going to have Connor McDavid behind nobody every single time. It becomes 3-on-3 hockey at that point. It's ridiculous. The rule is in place for a reason, and the rule this time was interpreted correctly, because remember, we had this issue bite us in the ass, and that's what I thought it was going to do last night too. It was not a foregone conclusion that they weren't going to do some stupid shit. They've already done that. Jon Cooper had a minute and a half to challenge a goal. You're supposed to have 40 seconds.
He didn't have 5 minutes like the time before, so they didn't give him 5 minutes. So unfortunately, he didn't. He probably should have complained about that, right? Because he had that 5 minutes to challenge the first goal in Game 3, the Bo Byram thing. He had 5 minutes to do that one. So oh no, he didn't have 5 minutes to do this one. So heaven forbid that. But look, why I was saying what I was saying before we listened to his quote was, that's a will of a man that is broken, that is known his team is lost. Look, if the roles were reversed, the Avs were down, the Avs lose that game, and by that way, and we get dominated in overtime, and the series is 2-2. Do you think we're sitting here being like, "Oh no, this little thing happened"? No, we're like, you know what? We got to move to the next one. That's exactly what Bednar would have said. There ain't no excuses. Oh no, we got screwed by the refs. Oh no, this is not it. Other thing, all that's showing me is you don't have the will of a champion anymore. You did because you played two ass teams right now in Dallas and Montreal, but you don't have the will of a champion right now. You don't. You may find it in this series again, but right now you don't. You're complaining, you're bitching and moaning, asking for people to get suspended and all that just so you can win a game. Right? Just to win another game.
Yeah, it's just
you're trying to win a second one so badly because you know you're so far outmatched.
Yeah.
That's the will of a team that's lost. Absolutely. Look, sports is all physical, but it is a lot more mental side of the game. And when you have a coach doing that, I bet the Avs players are like, oh, they know they're done. Oh, we're sticking to you in game 5. We're not coming to this shit piece of ice. We're finishing you, and you can go have a nice look. As Carmen McGay says it best. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. So get the hell out of here because, look, your will has already been broken, and you're proving that by bitching and moaning to the media and all of your fan base doing the exact same thing. And all this talk, oh, McKinnon, we're coming for you. Oh, no, we're coming for you. Doesn't matter if we're in Antarctica or Phoenix, Arizona. We will come back firing, and it doesn't matter. Rain, snow, or sleet or ice. We are a far better team, and you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, I want to go back to because there is psychology behind it, and Jon Cooper is known as a guy who does like to mess or at least try and finagle the psychology of the players in his room. Always has his speeches planned out. Always plans out all of his media statements. So while last night probably seemed a little bit more random, it was more than likely a planned move. And in the positive sense, and I'm sure there's a portion of the Lightning fan base, not the ones that I care to listen to. I like to listen to the guys that actually have a realistic view of what they're watching. To most of that fan base that also thought Devon Toews should have been suspended and fined for his check on Kucherov and, saying all these Avalanche don't know what they're in for. They got pummeled. This is what happens when you play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the playoffs. He is trying to make his team believe that the NHL is conspiring against them. That is the last-ditch effort that this team has right now because they tried to say we're going to be able to play with them. We're just as fast and skilled. Well, that didn't work out. You got boat race 7-0. Okay, well, we're going to play a super physical game, get in under your skin, and we're going to draw you guys into a fight. And that's how we're going to get our win. And you did, and you got beaten the fight, and then you came out and got beaten overtime in game 4.
Everybody was freaking out, Jimmy. Everybody was freaking out. Oh, here's Tampa again. Here's the will of a champion. This team is going to be different. Like here they go again. Here's their cup run.
Honestly,
we both watched that game, being like, we're not. We know what was going to happen. It was a bad game for your netminder, and that's what beat you that game. And a couple bonehead plays where we shot ourselves in the foot, and it showed why in game 4 why we said what we said.
Yeah, and honestly, for my movie nerddom, I'm going to make this comparison. This is Clubber Lang taking on Rocky. We are the Clubber Lang in the first fight before when he knocks Rocky out. He's not taking himself seriously. The Lightning are in love with themselves. This is what this whole tour is. Basically, that was a eulogy for the season for Jon Cooper to say this team has fought, and in this era of hockey, it's so difficult to do this, and these guys, I just don't want them to get jobbed by the refs. This is Rocky doing commercials and not training and not taking things seriously. And for the last 2 years, all we've done as Colorado and as a fan base, and I think this is what we both tried to get across to the Tampa guys, and I don't know if it fully came across or if they fully understood, this has been a living hell for the last 2 years. Because we have obviously we have the horses.
It's not even 2 years.
3 years. Obviously,
3 years of good players, but a lot more hell. Yeah.
It's just obviously we have the players now for the last 3 seasons that we should have been in this situation before. There should be a rematch of the Stanley Cup final, not the first time that these two teams have met in the Stanley Cup final. The Colorado Avalanche, if they have Nazem Kadri not make the stupidest mistake of one of the stupidest mistakes of his entire career, because I've seen that kneeing hit that he had in Toronto, and that was just a piece of shit move. I can tell why. I know why everybody hated him when he first got here. He's done a full 180, and we love Nas now. But like, if that doesn't happen last season, we don't lose 4 games in a row to Las Vegas. I think that we have a chance to get past them. We smoke Montreal, and then we get to see this matchup last year in the 2021 season. And I don't know how that one plays out. Honestly, I think if we played them last season, we're in a much more difficult spot because you have the line of Yanni Gourde and Gaudreau and Coleman. That's what is the difference in this game, because right now that was the best line in the Stanley Cup Final Series last year, and the best line of the Stanley Cup Finals this year is Darren Helm. It's Arturi Lehkonen. It's Logan O'Connor, Nico Stroom, Abe Kubel, Alex Newhook, everybody that you're not expecting, everybody that you come into the game saying, okay, if these guys beat us, we'll take it. Well, fuck, they're beating you. And you're just taking it. You're just taking it right now. OC was just mad that he didn't get the score, and that's why he beat up Ross Colton. Did you see him? I was like, did he have a mark on his face? No, he's got the Owen Wilson nose going from that first right cross that landed flush. I honestly, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the vibe I'm getting out of the guys on their team, I honestly think that they might buy into this bullshit from Jon Cooper, and they might take this as, the NHL is conspiring against us and we have to come out and play as hard as we can. And I guess we can start talking about Game 5 and what we're predicting here. But if that does happen, if Jon Cooper's words did get into his team, what I think this Tampa Bay Lightning team has left is a solid first period of hell. They're going to give you the first 20 minutes as hard as they can. And if you fall down or slip up or give them any sliver of light, they're going to make the night very difficult for you. So that's what Tampa Bay is hoping for. If you shut the door on them, if it's a 1-goal game after one period, I think the Avalanche can pretty much cruise if they just play their game. I think, honestly, it's going to be Tampa Bay is desperate in the first period. Colorado Avalanche are super tight, just like we saw in Game 5 against St. Louis. This is a difficult situation. It's the hardest one to get for a reason. It's the last of 16, and it's here.
I'll go out on a limb and just say they came out firing and we get one in the first 5 and we go up 2-0 at the end of the first. Like I seriously think we're due for another Kemper. I mean, not due. We just had one. A great Kemper, I think, realizes he only needs one more. And he only needs one more game where he stands on his head and he beats the guy across from him. And then you finish him and you take what you want and you go hoist it at home. Look, that picture you got behind you with Borg, still one of the greatest lines in sports history and Raymond Borg with the Stanley Cup. Like, look, there's nothing like hoisting that at your home ice. It'd be nice to do it in Tampa Bay. It'd be nice but you have a chance to do something that hasn't been done in 20 years and to hoist it in front of your fans, in front of your city that has backed you for so damn long, has been through the damn terrible seasons. This city, it wants its champion. The city has been begging for something since Peyton left, begging for something. And it has not come in the form of anyone else outside your team and the Nuggets who have not made it this far yet in the playoffs. So it's time to come on top. And I think we are like I said, the dog hasn't eaten yet.
I mean, he got
the dog has not eaten yet.
He got on the scoring sheet.
Scary. Yeah,
he got on the scoring sheet, but that wasn't his best game. It's a shooter's touch, like we say, shooter's touch in basketball. When you pull it up and you got that, and you're a damn good shooter, you'll just go in for you. Yeah. So that was a shooter touch for McKinn, but I expect him because they're going to start doing some things that are going to get. They're going to try to, because look, the best player in Game 4, in my opinion, was Landeskog with all his face-off wins and his presence in front of the net. They're going to try to get rid of, take care of him. They're going to pay more attention to Cale Makar. They're going to key on some other dudes. And look, 29 is going to get some looks, in my opinion. And he's going to look. He is determined. He wants that more than anything. The guy that hasn't eaten junk food since his mom gave him baby food or whatever, formula, baby formula. Haven't had a carb since 2006.
So like, look, he's begging and whining for it. He wants it. They want it. Look, it's time to raise another banner in Ball Arena. That's all I'll say. It's time.
Yeah, we got one banner for the Pierre Lacroix, and honestly, that could be. I know that he passed while we were on the playoff run. last season, but this team does kind of feel like a team of destiny for the way that they've been able to come through the playoffs. And you could say that they've had an easier path to the Stanley Cup final than Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay was just in a weaker position than a couple of the teams that they ran into, but this has been a team that's faced adversity in series. They lost game 5 already on home ice. They know how that feels. They know the disappointment that brings. And remember, in that game, they blew a 3-goal lead. And then Nathan MacKinnon does the unthinkable, scores one of the best playoff goals in franchise history, and it's negated in the next 20 seconds and then a minute and a half into overtime. So it hasn't been smooth sailing. We had a freaking track meet in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Do you think that the Tampa Bay Lightning could keep up with the Edmonton Oilers that night? I honestly don't know. I don't know if Edmonton can play as fast as they were playing against us, but there have been times in this playoff run that the Colorado Avalanche of the last few seasons would have been, it's just not in the cards tonight. Like last night, after that goal goes in and Kemper's mask has popped off, they could have just been, there's a lot of puck luck going on. We could take care of them at home and then come back here and possibly win it. And then, move on to the next games in the series. This team is just looking to accomplish the goal that they set out for themselves when Patrick Waugh decided to walk into the GM's office and announce his resignation. And that GM said, okay, I'm going to promote this guy from the AHL and, looks good behind the bench while this team is shit. And then we're going to move on and find somebody who can actually lead this team. Well, 6 years later, he is that guy. Nathan MacKinnon is going to become the highest paid player in the NHL in this upcoming offseason. We have some things that we have to talk about during the offseason.
But we ain't worrying about that yet.
It's a long ways
off.
It
don't matter.
Now it's game 5, and it's going to be impossible. While you guys are listening to this, it's going to be impossible for me to get any work accomplished today. It's going to be physically impossible. I'm going to be at the house. I am hoping – it's been I will say, for as shitty as my fan years have been recently, for whatever reason, there's a lot of things Bree likes to say. Bree likes to say that she's my good luck charm because since her and I started dating, the Bengals went on their Super Bowl run. Obviously, that one, I really hope I don't have to feel that again. I can't handle that.
We're not talking about that one.
I can't handle that too. I can't handle that too back-to-back seasons. I said after that happened, okay, I'm glad it's Avalanche hockey season because they at least look like they can do something. Yeah. And now we have this, and being able to watch them win it, being able to be in that presence, and that parade is going to be something else because the Bronco parade was something special that I attended. And I've said the Broncos aren't my least favorite team. I do have a vested interest just because I live here, and it's a pride thing. But this is my team. I said it. The Bengals. I love the Bengals. This is my city's team. This is a team that has come in and produced because they were the first pro sports championship in Denver, Colorado, and through the lean years, through the early 2000s, where we were one of the best teams in hockey. Now Joe Sakic coming back and adding another notch into he's a Hall of Fame. I don't even know. There's not a higher level that he could go. He's already a hockey Hall of Famer, considered one of the best players of all time. Now he's going to be one of the best GMs of all time. It's a great time to be a Colorado Avalanche.
It's kind of funny. I mean, look, this Tampa Bay team was created by Steve Yzerman. Yzerman drafted Vasilevsky. Yzerman got Kucherov, got Hedman. You can go down the list. Palat, Nick Paul, like every single big time player for this team was drafted by Stevie Y. And here we are on the cusp of Joe Sakic versus Steve Yzerman's team again of creations, and Joe looks like he'll get another upper hand. That's all I'll say. He'll get another upper hand here. But yeah, like I said, I really hope the parade can go on during the weekend because, like I said, I am making some sacrifices to go to the game tomorrow. So that's all I'll say. But yeah, look what we're about to witness. I've been following this team my whole life. I've been following the Nuggets. I've been following the Broncos. I've seen the Broncos' success. I've seen the Nuggets have some success. For the most part of my life, as memories can go, the Avalanche have always been mid. Nothing more. Has been really mid of the road. We're never been really the favorites outside of the past couple of years. And the Nuggets have always been right around there mid as well. And the Broncos were the one caveat. And now I get to see something different possibly for the first time. And man, it's so
there's going to be so much. Besides the fact that I'm going to be drinking to celebrate, there's going to be so many emotions if they do get it done. As you guys are listening to this on Friday night.
I just can't wait to see her in all her beauty. It's Friday night. That's all I'll say. She's going to look pretty on that ice.
She's going to look
pretty.
She's going to look very pretty. Kind of just to wrap things up on Game 5. You said you think McKinnon is going to be a guy that's going to have a big game. I agree with you. He's due for one. I think a couple of guys that have been a little bit quiet to what they can bring offensively, Logan O'Connor, JT Compher. I think both of those guys have been getting some chances, and Vasilevsky's been standing up on them. This is the moment because, like we said, for those offseason decisions that we have to make, if you're going to cement yourself as a part of this team's long-term plan, this is where you're going to step up. This is where you're going to you're the secondary offensive weapons if the top six aren't going. You're there. You're expected to produce. You're expected to forecheck hard. And you're expected to create when you're on the ice so that the big guys can get rest. And I think JT Compher, Logan O'Connor, Alex Newhook are three guys that have not yet figured out the puzzle that is Andrei Vasilevsky. And we might be seeing one of them tickle the twine in Game 5. Also, we'll have to keep an eye on this. I'll be on Twitter pretty much the whole day while I'm at work. Andrei Burakovsky, I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
He'll be suited up. Let's put it this way.
He'll be suited up.
He'll be suited up because those injured guys will be put on the bench in full uniform. I forgot what year it was, but someone had a torn ACL, whatever. They put him in skates and put him on uniform because years down the road, you're going to want to see yourself back in a uniform with the cup being raised. So look, he'll be in uniform. There's zero doubt about that. So don't even think you're not going to see Burakovsky because you probably will.
Yeah. And then who do you think scores the cup clincher if it is going to happen?
I know I'm saying it over and again. I think it's a clincher. I think it's one of the first 2 goals of the game. The Avs finish, and then Tampa never gets back on top. So if I'm saying who the first goal will be, I'll go with Kale. If the game gets close, I think the dagger in the back, the empty netter, or the LOVL, let's start cheering. Let's start popping champagne.
Play all the small things.
That'll be McKinnon.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with I think Landeskog is going to get a tip in front of the net, and that's going to be the cup clincher. I don't know. Like I said, I think Tampa Bay is going to come out, and the first 20 minutes are going to be the best that they have to offer. And then the Avalanche might have to crawl themselves out of a hole. But here's the thing. I have so much confidence in them being able to crawl themselves out of a hole right now. So I think that it's going to be Landeskog, the captain, just a storybook ending. And then if I get a 1B option, because you got 2 guys, I'm going to say Kadri, because that would just be the storybook ending. It honestly, if he does score the cup clincher, that might be the end of his time here, because there is some ways that we can maybe work it out. But Nazem Kadri being able to circumvent all of the issues that he's had in the past and prove himself to be a leader on the ice and a guy that can still produce at a very high level, and then scoring the cup clinching goal after being in surgery and missing time and thinking that your season was over, I think that would be just the perfect storybook ending. So I'm going for storybook. I want it to be on home ice. I want it to be either the captain or I want it to be Kadri. So those are my guys. And then I think I know who you're going to pick for your Conn Smythe, because I know who you have your money on. But for the listeners who don't, who's your Conn Smythe?
My Conn Smythe is it's going to be Cale Makar because I have money on it. There's no doubt about that. Sorry, the Nuggets just picked Christian Braun out of Kansas, the fucking white boy, badass shooter from the national championship team. So
they said that they could use some wing offense. They could use some perimeter offense.
It's interesting because I don't know how I feel about that. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting here, but yeah, no, I am full board Cale Makar because he's been the best player throughout the playoffs. It's not even close. It's not close. So I think he gets the job done, and I think he wins it. And look, this kid will have won a Hobie Baker, have won a Calder, have won a Norris, and then a Conn Smythe and a Stanley Cup in 4 years. That is just something that's just unreal.
And he's going to win more. He has more Norris Trophy, possibly some Hart and Hart and Ted Lindsay awards coming his way, because it's going to be, I mean, Landeskog's not old, but Landeskog is one of the older guys. And at some point when he's towards the end of his career, this is going to be Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar's team to lead. And that would be a huge step forward with him. And it would kind of replace the money that you spent on the ticket to go to Game 5 if that does happen. I'm lucky. I didn't pick. I got them early enough that I didn't have to pick the Conn Smythe winner to make it worth it. I was still, like I said, I get a plus 350 if they do win it, and now I'm fairly confident that they will. So that'll be a nice little chunk of change for myself.
Nice little chunk of change in general. Well, look, if we win, I'll have one a quarter of what I paid for the tickets back. So I mean, I guess that makes me feel better, right?
Well,
a little bit better, maybe, kind of. No,
if you're good at math, that might not feel so good, but it'll feel good while you're there.
It'll feel a lot better when I'm there. So yeah, look, if you're in Denver, you're listening to this podcast Friday morning, and we do win it Friday night, and you find me roaming in the streets in downtown Denver, you better come give my ass a big old hug, because I will celebrate with whoever, no matter who you are, where you are, I will give you a big old hug and fucking lose my mind with you. So if you're listening to it, come join me. And you find me. I'm the guy with the fucking weird handlebar mustache.
He's got the Philip Forsberg going right now.
Yeah, it's look, it's going to be a fun time. That's all I'll say. Whether it ends in 5, look, this is the last episode we'll record probably before the playoffs ends, because the Game 7 would be Tuesday night. So if it gets that far, so that means it'll probably be after that game sometime. So we're hoping it doesn't get that far, but it may get there. So last episode for the playoffs. Look, all knock on wood, I'm fully confident in this team as well. So look, it's time to bring Lord Stanley home. Time to bring him home.
Okay, and then I guess just for the Tampa fans that hopefully are still listening, if they haven't turned it off already or skipped on to another podcast, what player from the Tampa Bay Lightning can be the one that pushes this thing to Game 6? Is there going to be one guy, or is it going to take a certain line that you've seen that hasn't performed well? What do you think it's going to take for Tampa?
I think it's going to be Nick Paul and Andre Palat. I don't think it's going to be Kucherov. I think it's going to be that pairing on the second or third line. Those two guys. Nick Paul has been, in my opinion, one of the best players for them throughout the playoffs. If he doesn't show up, the game's over and they're done for. So they're going to need big game from him, big game from Palat, who's been a big game player for them. Mm-hmm. And them not having Point, they have to have one of those guys step up for them. That's what got them 2 cups in the first place, is having guys like Point and having guys like Palat show up for them. Those Nick Paul and Palat have been quiet this series. So it's going to have to be Cirelli, Palat, and the role players over there. It's not going to be Kucherov. Kucherov beats us, you tip your cap. If the other guys beat you, then there's going to be questions to be had. So if you're Tampa, you have to get secondary help. You have to have Vasilevsky staying on his head again, which I know he's capable of.
That's his pattern in elimination games when his back's up against the wall.
So look. He hasn't let in a goal since the Toronto. He's only let in 1 goal in an elimination game, and that was against Toronto. 2.
New York got 1.
Yeah, New York may have got 1. Either way, 2 in the last however many elimination games.
8.
So you get 1. You get 2 early. You send a message, right? You go in, send a message. If you're Tampa, you don't let them send a message. You let Vasilevsky get comfortable back there, block some shots with your boys, and see it goes from there. Because you cannot be, you can't keep walking around being like, oh, this last game should have had this, should have had that. Nope, it's on to the next one.
At some point, you're just going to have to do it. At some point, you're just going to have to prove that you can do it. I honestly think that Tampa should maybe let Andrei Vasilevsky be the best goaltender in the world and not block as many shots, because their durability is at such a low point right now. They're playing with 5 defensemen if Eric Chernak's not able to go. And Braden Point, they're still playing the will they one-day game with him. I think that it's going to have to get pushed to 6 or 7 for him to even attempt to get back on the ice, because he did not look like the Braden Point that we all know that he can be. So Tampa Bay, I think you got to learn to trust your goaltender, your world-class goaltender, and generate offense somehow. And honestly, if Victor Hedman gets the wild hair up his ass like he did to score that backhanded goal on Darcy Kemper, because you got to remember, he doesn't put many shots on net. That's why he doesn't I know the Norris is a defensive trophy, but they reward offensive defensemen in Norris voting. That's why Victor Hedman was third and not second or first, because you can make the argument that he's probably one of the best hockey players just in general in the world. So if Victor Hedman's able to play the way that he's capable of, and you're able to weather the storm that I think the Avalanche have for you and play your game, get on top of them and maybe crush their spirit, make them think that they have a little bit of doubt. I don't know. That's the only way that I see Tampa Bay able to get out of this thing. Because if all worst comes to worst, we'll push this thing to overtime and we'll test our luck in sudden death hockey. That's what this Avalanche team, your mic's up.
We haven't lost in overtime since that Blue series.
Yeah,
it's been four straight overtime wins. So it's
this team doesn't flinch. You're going to look at them dead in the eye. You face two franchises that have flinched and flinched hard against you, and this team is not going to blink. They're just going to stare you dead in the face. And I think I'm going to be able to trim my beard a lot sooner than it would be if it goes Game 7, because this thing, I hate it. It's May 1st, this thing has been on my face, and it's to the point where I can't stand it anymore. So I'm hoping that they help me out in that regard. Jesus Christ. I need to sleep. I just need to sleep.
I need no sleep till Brooklyn. Right?
Playoff hockey at night, football camp in the morning. So I go to bed at 11 and wake up at 5. Yeah, this is.
I know. It's look. I said we sleep in June. It is June. We'll sleep in July, I guess.
We'll pass out after the 4th and wake up in August for football, because then we go right into NFL season, and we all know how busy that gets. So
right now, look, we're gonna enjoy the hell out of this. Look, I know for those people thinking where the hell's the basketball talk, we'll talk about the draft next week. Right away. Initial thoughts, because quick thoughts here. I do like the Christian Braun deal. Looks like Monte Morris may be traded though, if we're picking up another guard. So that I don't necessarily love, but Christian Braun has some dog in him. So I like what we see. Obviously, I don't know who we picked at 30 yet. So when you're listening to this, hopefully number 30 is a good pick too. But we'll break all that down after the cup, because obviously we have some other things on our mind right now.
Yeah, we're a little bit distracted. Follow at FEOTB Pod. Mention it to Niko if you do find him. Like you said, if you're celebrating in downtown Denver, mention it to Niko. We'll probably get a picture.
I'll get you a beer. You mentioned, hey, if you see me at a bar and you say, hey, yo, I'm far end of the bench listener, I'll buy you a beer. I don't care where we are.
There you go. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We're going to have plenty more content coming out around the end of the Stanley Cup Final Series. I'm sure I'm thinking here, I'll announce it now. I will go, if the Avalanche look like they're going to be able to pull this thing off, I will go live on our Instagram. So at FEOTB Pod on our Instagram, and I will have my live reaction, because if it does happen, I honestly don't know. My dad and I texted you. My dad and I were getting notifications from our Apple Watches last night, like, heart palpitations. Are you okay? Like,
it was that the whole way through. Try leaning up against your seat or on the edge of your seat in front of ball arena instead of losing fans. You could even drop. All right, boys. Yeah. Look, I know we got to wrap this up, but because we got a lot of partying to do tonight as you're listening to this. So, look, we are both confident as ever. There's no doubt about it. We're it's time to raise another banner. It's time to fucking get this team to the promised land. Get Mac a ring. Get McCarr a ring. Get this team where they should be, and stick the knife further down the chest. Arya Stark Wise just fucking stabbed the Night Walker. Oh fuck! Wow, I haven't watched Game of Thrones in so long. The fucking Oh my god. Stand. Oh god, I can't remember what the ice people.
White Walkers.
Wow,
I didn't even watch that.
Fuck, I can't believe I forgot about that. This is going to be Arya Stark throwing the dagger in the White Walker's chest to the end of the show, except it's going to be a much prettier ending. That's all I'll say. God, I can't believe I love that show.
I agree with you. This is going to be a great day, great celebration. Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed the last hour, and we took your mind off of things for a little bit and made you confident for Game 5. For that, episode 96, the Mikko Rantanen episode of the Far End of the Bench podcast, for myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Niko Bryant. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.